Most people assume that once they've accumulated enough money, the hard part is over. But lately, I found myself in conversations that kind of suggest the opposite. And that's exactly what we're going to get at in today's video. I'm going to be walking through an article that I've written that talks about that exact thing. So without further ado, let's hop into it. Is whole life insurance worth it if you already have a large 401k? And more specifically, I'm talking about overfunded whole life insurance, high cash value whole life insurance. That's exactly what we're going to be getting at because we're looking to accumulate assets within that whole life insurance policy to be used at some point in the future, or probably even near term if you want to as well. So let's hop into it, okay? So if you've done a good job saving and investing over the years, but you've started to wonder whether a large 401k is enough on its own for retirement, this conversation will be relevant for you. One of the most common misconceptions I encounter is the belief that once someone accumulates a large retirement account balance, that planning is entirely finished. And I would underline this and then kind of just like cross it out and say that the planning is not entirely finished, right? Because in reality, many of the most successful savers I meet eventually begin asking a different set of questions altogether, okay? So recently, I had a conversation with a very successful professional who's already accumulated more than $1 million in his 401k alone. And yet he still found himself exploring whole life insurance. And by the way, just to give you a little bit of context, he's in his mid-40s, right? Now, at first glance, this may not seem like it makes a lot of sense, but the reason why reveals something I think many people overlook when it comes to retirement planning or just future cash flow planning, right? Distribution planning, right? And so if you've done a good job saving for retirement, and you've accumulated a substantial balance inside of your 401k, first and foremost, I want to say congratulations to that because you're in a small subset of people who have actually been able to do that. But you may have also been in that position where you're asking yourself a very, very reasonable question, which is, why would I consider whole life insurance? Like, I've heard some buzz about whole life insurance. Maybe I've seen some reels, maybe I've seen some TikToks or whatever that may be. Maybe you've seen things right here on YouTube, but you've seen some things about whole life insurance and you're asking yourself, why would I consider whole life insurance? And you started to do a little bit of digging. And so I think that's a good question to ask. Because after all, isn't the goal to build enough assets so that the additional planning becomes unnecessary? Like, that's kind of like the big question. People believe that once they've accumulated enough, all of the additional planning becomes unnecessary and it's going to be quote unquote easy. But like I've said in prior videos, climbing up the mountain is not the same as getting down the mountain. The tools and strategies that you've used to accumulate and make it to retirement are not the same tools and strategies that you use to get down the mountain. Otherwise, in other words, getting to a point where you have the cash flow that you're looking to have, that's adjusted for inflation, that covers Medicare costs, that does all these things. I think that's important. So anyways, more recently, I had a conversation with a successful electrical engineer. Again, like you said, he's in his mid to late 40s, and he was approximately earning $400,000 per year. He had $1.2 million in his 401k. He had some additional assets in brokerage accounts. He had company stock. He had multiple sources of future retirement income through pension and other retirement benefits as well. The interesting part was that he wasn't looking for another investment. And that matters a lot because I'll say it now and I may say it a little bit later as well. Whole life insurance, high cash value whole life insurance, no matter how you slice it, is not an investment. It's a place to store capital and it can amplify or make better or enhance the other assets that you have within your portfolio. And as you're taking risk in other places, you're being stable within whole life insurance. And so it actually almost can give you more permission to be risky in other areas.